Today's opening tip, Victor Oladipo dropping Austin Rivers with this crossover. It's another zip code. I mean, and we, of course, remember what happened to Wes Johnson earlier this season.
Yeah.
Coach, they need a new ankle doctor.
They need new ankle something. But you know what? Just because you're in Hollywood don't mean you have to try to be an actor all the time. Stand up and play some D every now and then. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Man,
everybody can't be an actor in L.A.
You know, everybody's something / actor.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Everybody can't be an actor.
See, we're getting the truth right here, and Paul Pierce isn't even here today. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. Our insider, Amin Al-Hassan, is indeed back. Three-time NBA champ Byron Scott.
Yes, sir.
Woohoo! Good. I'm getting music playing in my ear during this. I don't know if you guys
I can hear music.
We're rocking out. It's going to be a good day. We're here for an hour. Come hang out. Being a Spurs fan right now, not for the weak of heart. There are great days. There are horrible days. Basically, it's like going to answer your front door and having no idea if you're going to find a girl with a box of Thin Mints or the mom from Get Out.
No.
Spurs fans got both on Saturday this weekend. Look, Saturday the news came that Kawhi Leonard had left the team again, dimming many hopes that he would be back on the court this season and further muddying his whole future with the organization. But then yesterday the team upset the Rockets, so yay. Seriously, though, this was a legit impressive win. Even taking into account that Chris Paul didn't play, San Antonio messed with all the things that make Houston, holding the Rockets to season lows in points, field goal percentage, three-pointers made, assists. LaMarcus Aldridge was strong, and so was Rudy Gay. Take a look at this sequence. The block at one end, right? And then Ginobili helps him with the turnover. And then, man, this is how you finish things. Damn, that's nice.
The Rudy Gay of old right there.
It has been fun, right? Seeing Gay's athleticism, his timing coming back more consistently. And let's face it, the Spurs will need Gay if they are going to be in any sort of force this postseason. Because, well, yeah, now we're back to the whole Kawhi thing. According to this weekend story from Woj and Michael C. Wright, Kawhi is once again in New York, seeing his private doctor there and working out in the Players Association gym. They say he, quote, left San Antonio and his teammates in the aftermath of increasing tension levels surrounding his disconnect with the team, unquote. Yikes. And by the way, no one inside or outside the organization has suggested that Kawhi isn't playing right now because he's pouting or trying to send a message. As we have noted on this show several times, Kawhi Leonard is extremely tough, extremely dedicated. I promise you guys, if he felt he could play, he would play. But he clearly doesn't feel he can play, and the Spurs clearly do feel that he could play, and the difference in medical opinions here has turned into something extremely uncomfortable. Tony Parker came out the other day and made the point that he and Kawhi had suffered the same injury, but his was, quote, 100 times worse, and he noted, of course, he's been back playing since late November. There's also Spurs management, which has said on the one hand, they do encourage players to get second outside opinions, but then execs have also made public comments praising the guys who don't get second opinions. And the reason everybody is so interested goes way beyond San Antonio. This summer, Kawhi is eligible for the Supermax extension. It used to be considered a no-brainer the Spurs would offer to him, but we're talking about $219 million over 5 years. And if you can't agree on what's wrong with the guy, or when or whether you are going to get him back on the court, well, do you still make that offer, carte blanche? And if you're Kawhi and you feel the organization has publicly undercut you, do you take it? Or do you take it because, hey, most people do not turn down $219 million, but then as soon as you are allowed in a year to ask for a trade, do you ask for one? And yes, this whole discussion seems insane to be having about the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard. But also, this past summer, Kyrie Irving asked to be traded away from one of the greatest players in NBA history and a team that had made the finals 3 straight seasons. So clearly, people were in uncharted territory here all the way around. Certainly, if Kawhi and the Spurs cannot reach an extension, you will see Kawhi on the trade block. I do not expect San Antonio to just let him play out the final year of his current deal and then watch him walk away. Of course, in the end, this could all still get solved quickly and quietly. Remember, it was just last summer that Aldridge asked to be traded. Pop turned that situation around with some compromise and a bottle of Chianti. But at least as of right now, well, we're not there yet with Leonard. And one of the most reliable organizations in sports continues to be weirdly, strangely, anything but. Byron, do you think it is possible? I can't believe I'm asking this question. Do you think it is possible Kawhi Leonard has played his last game with the Spurs?
It's possible, but I don't think it's going to be that. I think he's going to be in San Antonio. I really do. I think that at the end of the day, he's going to sit down with Pop. He's going to sit down with RC, and they're going to squash all this. This is, like you said, unprecedented. You just don't see this from San Antonio, the Spurs. This is one of the classiest organizations in all of sports. You know, so what they're going through is something that we've never seen before. But also, you know, this organization has always been the type of organization that has always had their players back. You know, Pop has really created all this rest stuff. You know, I'm going to rest my players, get them ready for the playoffs, and I don't care where we end up seeded-wise. So this right now is just totally different than what we've seen in recent years with this organization. Kawhi Leonard is one of the best players in this league, one of the best two-way players in this league. If he needs a second opinion, go get a second opinion. I know for a fact, just like you, that if this kid could play, he would play. And we had a saying back in the day with the Lakers, you know, when you put the purple and gold on, be ready to perform. There's no excuses. But if you don't put it on, that means that you have a damn good reason for not putting it on. That means you must be really hurting. Right. You know, so I really believe that this kid right now is hurting. He's trying to find some answers to why this is continuing to linger like it has. And also the other thing that kind of bothered me is, and I love Tony Parker, but to come out and say, well, mine was 100 times worse, and I would play. Now, you know what? You got to have your guys back, too. You know, a lot of that stuff should have stayed in the locker room, first of all. It should never have got out. And that's the type of organization this has been over the years. So I think there is a big disconnection with the organization and Kawhi right now. And him going back to New York, I think, is his way of just saying, I just need to be away from you guys and find out exactly what's going on with this injury so I can get ready to play for next year. And we talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. Should shut him down anyway. Should have shut him down anyway.
Look, first of all, as it pertains to an injured player, if you think you hurt, why would I ever doubt you, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
Even if every medical test known to man says, no, your leg is fine, what's going to happen? Because you're going to start favoring that leg, right?
And something else going to happen.
Something else happens, right? You want to know if he's going to play for the Spurs again? This is really easy. July 1st, 12:01 Eastern, to June 30th, 11:01 Central Time. Do they pick up the phone and say $219 million?
Right.
If they don't say that, then that's when you know he's probably not going to play against Spurs.
You've worked in a front office. How secure can you be if you're the Spurs? On the one hand, this is your guy. You nurtured him. You brought him along. You're the Spurs. Everything should be fine. But this last year has been different.
We had Amari Stoudemire coming up on his free agency, and we put together a contract that was basically $100 million over 5 years, and the first 2 years were fully guaranteed. And then the third year, if he only played 25% of the minutes in years 1 and 2, he would have got a whole chunk of money. In the year 4, so it was literally all you have to do is have a pulse.
Right.
And you would have got the money.
Right.
But it wasn't 100% guaranteed. Nick said $100 million guaranteed.
No medical, right?
No, nothing. Everything guaranteed.
Yep.
And he left, and he should have left. Because that's his job as a player, is to provide for his family and take the best possible deal on the table. And we didn't offer it. So you talk about Kawhi Leonard. He's 26. He's going to be 27 in June. And that's
He's still young, man. He's so young.
He still hasn't hit his prime offensively, and he's already one of the most efficient scorers. It's not pretty. It doesn't make highlights, but guess what? If he wants to post you up, he'll post you up. If he wants to attack you off the dribble, he'll attack you off the dribble. If he wants to get off the glass, he can do that too. Mid-range, three-pointers, layups. He does it all.
Everything.
And then you say, oh, by the way, you are probably the best defensive player on the perimeter in the NBA.
Yep.
And he's not at his prime yet. You telling me because he doesn't feel 100% now, all of a sudden we're going to have cold feet? No. You offer him that contract, he stays. You don't, you open the door. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine who's an agent who had a player who was also in line for a max deal from his team, right? And the guy had been with the team for a while, and I said, so yeah, what do you guys think? And he said, well, if they come correct, it'll be really quick. If they say $1 less, we'll take it as you're not serious about us, and we'll go somewhere else. And we'll make it, everyone know it was because you tried to play around on this. If I'm Kawhi's representation, I approach it the same way. You love Kawhi, you believe in Kawhi, you trust him.
Don't mess around with it.
Don't mess around with this one.
Mess around with it.
Well, it's interesting because the one thing the Spurs have had, many things the Spurs have had going for them, but one of the many things the Spurs have had going, they have an era of invincibility, right, in how they run their team. the only thing has been like, oh, that organization, the way that organization's run, I wish our organization could be run like that. Has this changed your perspective of either Kawhi or the organization?
Look, it hasn't changed my perception of Kawhi. Kawhi is what we just discussed right there. And guess what? If the Spurs aren't in the Kawhi Leonard business, I guarantee there are 29 other NBA franchises. Again, even the Golden State Warriors are above everything. Yes, they're absolutely in the Kawhi Leonard business. But it has changed my perception of the Spurs. And I'll tell you why. We had Jabari Young from the San Antonio Express on our radio show yesterday on Sirius XM NBA, me and Jason Jackson.
Wow. It was like
That's a
3
plug.
plugs at once.
Yeah, that plug, boy. I
was like,
that plug.
But we
anything
asked,
else?
we asked Jabari...
Coffee you want to plug? Any?
Well, I mean, if you can. We asked Jabari specifically, what is it? What's going on? What's changed? Why is all of this happening now? And Jabari said, in his opinion, you're watching the Spurs transform from the franchise of Tim Duncan, where we're able to do all of those things because we have a centerpiece, a guy who polices a locker room, who is the culture of our organization. And now that he's gone, he said, you're seeing him transform to every other NBA team. They say, oh, we wouldn't do it like those franchises. Well, you didn't have to because you had Tim Duncan. When Tim Duncan ain't there anymore, now you realize, oh, this is what life is like on the other side of the tracks. And I think they're going through that a little bit.
I think they're definitely going through that. And like you said, you know, Tim was that quiet leader. You know, he was like, you know, what was that old H&R? You know,
Right.
Didn't have to say a whole lot.
E.F. Hutton, right?
E.F. Hutton?
Yeah.
You know, E.F. Hutton.
How old everyone knows that is.
Yeah, Tim going there. E.F. Hutton.
Anybody under 30 has no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, 26-year-olds are going, who the hell is this? Who's that? Who's that? But he was that like common force in the locker room.
Yeah.
He never allowed anything to get outside that locker room. You look at these guys now. You got players speaking their minds, so to speak, on the Kawhi's saga that is going on. Never happened with Tim Duncan. So, yeah, I agree with me that this organization now is a little bit like everybody else. They're not ahead of the class like they used to be.
Hey.
And even though you still got, one of the best, if not the best coach in the league in Pop, and RC is a GM, and they've done, obviously, a terrific job, but the players now are different.
Well, that's certainly true.
It's a people business.
Big difference.
Everyone here is human.
Can't
and that
control
was
them.
certainly
you can't.
true all the way along, even as we were putting everyone up on a pedestal. I will say, though, I got the chance earlier this season to speak to Pop about the LaMarcus Aldridge situation and to LaMarcus Aldridge about what happened with them this summer. And I was so impressed by everyone's flexibility in that situation, the ability to put their pride aside, the ability to say, hey, we are better off if we work together. Let's figure out how to do that. I thought Pop went to some great lengths that we don't normally hear from a coach of his stature to say, okay, I'm going to change if you want me to in this way. I feel like there's certainly room here for him to do the same thing with Kawhi Leonard. We are talking about someone who's not just a great coach and a great personnel person, but Greg Popovich seems to understand people and relations with people in a way we don't always see every day in sports, and I have a lot of faith in that.
No, he's a great communicator. There's no doubt about that. And he's going to need all that this summer. He's going to need all that this summer.
There we go. We have another team where there is some disagreements between the players and coaching staff. Hassan Whiteside fined for complaining about his playing time. Was he out of line? We will discuss that after the break.
I don't think that's what he was fined for. He was fined for something else.
Here is a distant replay. This date, 1995, a soon-to-be Hall of Famer in
Vince
this
Carter?
clip.
He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
He is, but he's still playing.
Oh, not my man, G-Money.
Yes.
Put him in the mix.
Woo! See, all weekend people were showing clips of him from the Final Four getting ready to. I'd rather see this clip.
Look at Judd Briscoe.
Oh, he really got like three. Who's that on him? McClain guarding first play. Got to play better defense. Got to play better defense.